Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are on to episode 13 of season 5, Patient X. Brian, shall we do our guessing game first?
Yeah, let's do it. Go on. 217 episodes. IMDb have ranked it. Where do you think this sits?
I'm all over the place like a mad genius. I could see my wall with all the strings and all that because this is like it relates to mythology. It is related to some big episodes from season 1. Was it Dwayne Barry?
Season
So
2.
I think it's season 2. Right, so I think it's going to be up there. I'm going to go 61.
Ooh, okay, you aimed a little bit higher. It's actually 72.
So my rationale was there.
Yeah, the rationale was there. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the legacy of this episode.
Well, so this introduces the character of Cassandra Spender and Jeffrey Spender, indeed, as well.
Yeah.
So the Spenders, who are
big spenders.
Yeah, but they're a big deal in the X-Files mythology. So these aren't one and dones. These aren't goodbye, never going to see you again. These are going to be a real part of the mythology. So in that regard, it's quite a big deal in regards to the legacy of the show, because a lot of what came out of this episode and the next one really does affect the trajectory of the rest of the show. So yeah, quite a big part of the legacy, I would say.
Okay,
right. I'm very conscious that I shouldn't talk as much as I usually do. I don't know if you've been reading the comments, but I think
no.
Either you've got a very ardent fan, Graham, or you really need to stop posting on those other accounts that you've got. Somebody keeps on talking about your sexy voice and how I speak too much and you don't speak enough.
It's I mean,
so yeah, just stop.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Stop posting on those second accounts, will you? It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
We start off in space. We see like all these nebulas and goodness and galaxies and goodness knows what, and we have what is usually the sign of a great episode. We have a voiceover from Mulder.
Yep. The field where I died.
Yeah. So Mulder's a voiceover. It's definitely nowhere near field where I died levels. You can actually understand what he's ranting on about for a start. But he's essentially talking about man's relationship to the stars and how we equate it to our relationship to the gods, and you know, it's kind of wondering, is there anything else out there, and if so, is it merely other life forms like us, or is it a higher power? Is that higher power kind of in control of it all? It's just throwing those questions out.
But it's kind of funny because there's like, you instantly know it's a mythology episode. Like this kind of the cadence, what's being delivered, the images. It's very similar to an earlier mythology episode as well. We were kind of looking up to the stars. A little bit of a voiceover. I remember which one for the life of me.
I feel like that was
the one with the Indian. Is it the one with the Indian messengers?
Well, yeah. So I think they've done it a couple of times. I think Ascension did as well. Ascension, it might have been the ending, not the beginning. So yeah, it's definitely a theme that runs throughout. Yeah. So we go from that. It kind of feeds directly into this UFO in Russia. We see like a crash and this fire. And so it's like, is people, somebody's going to it, is it? I can't remember. Have I jumped ahead here?
The boys. I think they're out.
Yes, that's it. So it's the boys. So there's two boys. They see the UFO crash and they go over to it. And when they get there, there's all the cars are burnt out. And then this random like faceless man, although he's not really faceless. He looks like he's got scarred eyes and mouth sewn up, and he basically sets one of these kids on fire, and the other one just does a runner. So but I don't. Did you recognize the faceless man?
No.
Did you not?
Did you recognize the faceless man? No, he had no face.
But he did have a face. It's just that his eyes were like, and his mouth was like,
Yeah.
So it was Brian Thompson.
See, I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so it's
Budget Terminator's back.
Budget Terminator, it's Alien Bounty Hunter guy. So whether it's our Alien Bounty Hunter guy or not that we've had an hour, we've seen that there's been multiple of these guys.
Yeah.
So but he's one of them anyway. What do you think of that as an introduction anyway?
Yeah, it's kind of like what the hell's going on type of introduction, which I like, because it's straight into the weirdness and the wackiness. I kind of had a chuckle. I don't see, because it was set in Kazakhstan.
Right.
It was just like I just thought of Borat straight away. And I've no idea why. So when we talk about the boy, let's just refer to him as Borat.
Borat, okay.
Yeah.
So, otherwise known as Dimitri, but Borat.
Yeah.
So after the opening credit sequence, we have a bunch of UN vans turning up to this site, and Marita Covarrubias gets out. Now, is she ringing any bells at this point, or are you still on like
talking about
line?
Faceless people? I had no idea. Again, Brian, I was like, who is this? Is she just like I don't know what it is. She just does not stick.
It's so bizarre because she's like ridiculously,
she's very, you would
ridiculously
recognize her,
hot.
You'd imagine.
Yeah. You think, like blonde hair, blue eyed, like she's got piercing blue eyes. Her skin is like porcelain, and she's pretty hot. And yet every time she's shown up, you've been like, I don't know who that is.
It's not until later on that I realised who she was.
Right.
But all the way through my notes, it's just blonde lady.
Oh man, good grief. So, all right. So Marita Covarrubias shows up, and they kind of find the boy, and they're about to take him when suddenly Krychek rocks up, one-armed Krychek, because obviously
focuses on his arm.
So obviously we're back in Russia, and so we get a little bit of a Krychek versus Marita moment where they're both kind of trying to throw the weight around. She's throwing the weight around of the UN, which, let's face it, doesn't mean a damn thing, never has. Anyone who actually takes any note of real world politics knows that UN don't do jack.
This shows you the power that they have.
Basically.
Where they're sent away. Yeah.
So Krychek takes Borat, and we go from there to Cassandra Spender, our videotape of Cassandra Spender, as she is kind of being discussed by this panel of experts, one of whom is Agent Mulder. But she's ranting on about like aliens and how she's been abducted and how she's waiting for them to return, and it's going to be beautiful and amazing.
Yeah, I think the big thing is when she says she's an apostle of the aliens.
It's like, okay. So, the panel of experts, Mulder, again, carrying on the theme that we started at the beginning of the season. It's at its absolute height here with Mulder. But basically, this is a panel that Mulder has been on many times before, or the kind of panel Mulder's been on many times before, where he's the one shouting from the hills that aliens are here, this woman needs to be believed. And all of a sudden, he's the one guy He's saying, nope. Everything she's saying is crap. It's well,
this episode is like the Freaky Friday of X-Files, because it's so role reversal here all the way through it.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I actually genuinely find it quite funny how the characters have completely swapped positions here.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it is something that needed to happen, really, because, like, by the time you get to season 3, people really were saying that, okay, I'm not sure how much longer I can buy Scully trying to explain things away with some random ass. And we did see through, like, the end of season 3, beginning of season 4, there were a few times where Scully herself would kind of acknowledge that even the stuff she's just said is probably a load of bollocks. So yeah, I do like this kind of reversal. It's refreshing. But Mulder, so it's not that Mulder is discounting Cassandra's experiences so much as he's discounting her explanation of them. Just because she thinks she's seen what she's seen doesn't mean she's seen what she's seen. She's seen, in his mind, what the government wants her to see. So we go to Dr. Verba, who it turns out is the doctor all the way back from Conduit, who we never saw in Conduit, but we heard. And it was when, Mulder's hypnosis, his regression hypnosis. So he was the doctor that did Mulder's original regression hypnosis.
Yeah.
So yeah, he comes as a chat with Mulder. He's kind of disturbed by Mulder's lack of faith.
it's one of those. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, pretty much. And then basically reveals the fact that he is Cassandra's doctor. Which I don't know about you, but it kind of sent alarm bells ringing. Like first thoughts when you hear that.
It's like similar stories. And what's the connection? The doctor who's hypnotizing people. You just kind of follow that thread a little bit, and it's almost as if he's implanting the idea of this. He's steering things the way he wants them to go.
Yeah, if he was in the employ of the government, you could very much believe the government's doing what they can to create this lie, and then he is feeding into that lie by steering their psychology in a particular route. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, but as a setup, as soon as he comes in, that's what I think. And it also really kind of reinforces the new train of thought that Mulder's on.
Yeah. And it's the idea of this kind of doctor that's bringing out these stories. You feel as if there's no impartiality. He kind of wants that to be true as well. So I don't know how much challenging he's really giving. It could just be someone that so desperately wants to have this be true that he's encouraging it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we go to the Gulag where Borat is being tortured by Krychek, who then steals a vial. It's like, this is like full-on rat boy Krychek. Yeah,
it really is. There's absolutely no need, because I'm pretty sure that boy would have told him everything. But Krychek's just like, I can't remember that time Mulder beat me up. I'm going to beat up this kid instead. Get revenge.
But do you not? Krychek, the only man who can't seem to take Mulder in a fight.
Yeah.
So do you not think that he's done this on purpose in order to get the doctor there?
Yes, after the fact.
Yeah.
But at this point, it just seems like meanness for meanness' sake.
Yeah.
But there is a purpose later on.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and that's the thing with Krychek. There's always that middle background where it's like, oh, okay.
But as you're watching it, you're like,
yeah, as you want to punch him, and you want Mulder to punch him. So it's like he's got to get the doctor there. So he tortures this guy and behaves in a way that someone in his position would be expected to behave. Beats his kid up, and it forces the doctor to come and bring and essentially bring the vials. So yeah, he steals the vial. Whether that was completely necessary is doubtful, quite frankly. But so Cassandra is glad to meet Mulder. She talks about how he saved her life, and Mulder's like, how's that? You can see how he's like, oh crap, here we go. Another Max Fennick. So she says that there is an upheaval amongst the alien races, and she's going to be called like Dwayne Barry. And Mulder says, no.
Yeah.
So
there's a kind of there's a kind of almost uppity attitude from Mulder because he's suddenly realizing what he has encouraged throughout the years.
Yeah.
And the weight of that and how it's impacting the rest of the world.
Yeah. And it's and the fact as well that she says races, it's like, oh, hang on. So yeah. Okay. I mean, like we know we've seen the bounty hunter type aliens. We know we've seen the alien greys. They're the two different types that we've seen on the show. So is it those two? Are those two the alien races that are now fighting with each other? So yeah, just throwing one word in there kind of sets your mind racing. Like who are these alien races that are fighting? All right. So we go to the Gulag test of Dmitri, aka Borat, and we find that the doctor is dead in the cell. I don't know if you recognised that doctor, but he was in the Tunguska. asking a bit too much. Of course not. I'm asking a bit too much. So this was the same doctor that was in the Tunguska and Terma two-parter. He was the one who was doing the experiments in the Gulag in Tunguska. Yeah. So presumably this is that same Gulag, which Krycek is now. So he if you remember, Krycek kind of started getting chatty with him, and he suddenly came out of his cell and was pals with this guy. But yeah,
it's a horrible process, isn't it? Like the whole experiment is just horrid.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Being held down by chicken wire and then having that gloop thrown in your face.
Yeah. It's just like, it's the chicken layer that does it. Why can't they just like, strap you down, arms, legs, throat? But it's just this fact that you're under this. It's like proper budget level kind of interrogation in it. It's like, oh man, just whatever we can find in the back stores, guys. So it turns out Krycek is on a ship with Borat heading to, well, wherever he's heading, I guess. So, but it's in this moment where Krycek, now you can argue, is this genuine? Is it because he sees him as being of monetary value? Is it because he regrets the way he felt he had to treat him in order to get the vial? I err on the side of no, he's a douchebag and he doesn't give two craps about this kid. But it's just the way he talks to him is like, it's almost like there's a sense of remorse there. He's going to take care of him. And yeah, it's a bit creepy, to be perfectly honest.
It's a bit Krycek.
It's a bit Krycek, yeah. So, Spender, Scully, Cassandra. That's my note. So yeah, so this is Agent Spender. He pays a visit to Scully, and he says, "Look, Mulder's sniffing around this case with this woman, Cassandra. Can you tell him to kind of lay off?" Scully's like, "Why?" He's like, "She's my mum, and I don't want this crap getting out. I'd rather create a name for myself than than
Be given one.
be given one kind of thing. So yeah, basically this is Mulder Mark II.
Yeah.
But he wants
on a different path. Yeah.
Yeah, on a different path. So,
but I will say something about the fashions back then. He looks like a small boy playing in his dad's suit. It just is so ill-fitting. Like, I think it's just. I sometimes feel it with Mulder as well. The trousers are so baggy.
Yeah. I do have a question though.
Yeah.
And you're gonna roll your eyes. Do you recognise this guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
right.
do. Yeah.
Go on.
I don't know from where, but I do. Like, I do recognise him.
Right. This may set alarm bells ringing. A whole host of theories. Once I tell you, but not only did he play the deformed guy a few episodes back in Postmodern Prometheus, but, and more importantly, he played the flashbacks, younger versions of Cigarette Smoking Man.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that I could understand, but yeah.
Okay, so just throwing that out there because you might not have noticed. I feel like
the face was familiar, and I knew it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was from another show or something else. If it was just the actor, but yeah.
So if you remember Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man, he played the young version of Cigarette Smoking Man. Yeah. Anyway,
interesting.
Moving on.
It could just be like the actor.
Yeah. You know, Krycek played a sex addict guy in season 1. It doesn't mean that was Krycek. You know, so could have been, but
Krycek has needs.
Yeah. So
needs a hand.
So Marita briefs the syndicate. She talks about the group abductions that seem to be happening. So all these people who've been abducted in the past seem to be gathering in places. And then like members of the syndicate are like, but we're years away from that. All these crusty old men. And I'm just thinking, blimey, it might be in your favour to hurry up with it because you're not that far away from death, guys. But yeah. So one of them says that it's an act of war, and it's then that one of them asks, well manicured man asks about he asks who's. Oh no, Marita tells him about Krycek, doesn't she? And then well manicured man's like, what did he want? And then as if on cue, as if there's a bug in that room, and Krycek's just waiting for the right moment, he calls, and it's like, vaccine. He knows that the Americans have been developing a vaccine. He wants everything they've got on it for basically the Russian equivalent. Because the Russians, obviously that's what the Russians have been doing. They've been trying to make a vaccine. And he's saying, like, tit for tat. You give me yours, I'll give you theirs. Well, I
do love the syndicate and how sort of upset and angry they are that they can't trust these aliens when they trust nobody with anything. Like it's like genuine shock.
Yeah. It's like they wouldn't have used us, would they? So, shocking stuff. So so Krycek says the boy basically. He's like he says, I'll give you the boy for the vaccine, and they're like, just for a boy? What's the boy going to tell us? And he's kind of like, look, when I give you the boy, you ain't going to need anything else. So that suggests some things. So Mulder invalidates his own work, and Scully is spooked by Cassandra's file. So I can't remember what scene that is. I was shooting through on the notes with this one. I've just written Mulder invalidates his own work and Scully is spooked by Cassandra's file. So
I've got nothing.
It's a scene between the two of them, and I got nothing.
I've got nothing either. So I've got let's see, Bo, FBI HQ, guy stops the group, cry check, and then I got to Mulder and Scully news headlines, Patient X, the Sun story, and that's kind of it. So obviously it was pivotal and extremely important to the episode.
Oh man, I feel like Mulder and Scully are having a conversation, and it's showing that they're on opposite ends of the spectrum with each other, kind of going that way anyway. But okay, so we get another reference here to a previous episode in the shape of Skyland Mountain. So this is the place that Dwayne Barry previously took Scully, and we there's basically a whole load of cars traveling up to this thing, and this one guy kind of gets stopped by a guard.
Just to jump back, that's one thing, because Scully has a conversation with Cassandra, and that's where she gets a little bit spooked because she talks about the thing in the back of the neck, the waking up during the night feeling like you need to be somewhere, and you're driven, and then. And that's what kind of starts the ball rolling for Scully.
It's just that's the next scene.
Oh, is that the next scene?
Yeah, because that's why Scully goes to see Cassandra. Right. She's having a chat with Mulder, and Mulder's he's dismissing Cassandra, I think, because of the file. Right. And Scully's like, yeah, and she picks up the file, and she's just kind of like, yeah. And so Mulder's making his way out, and then she kind of looks at it and goes, "Whoa, Mulder. Did you see this? This is like, Skyland Mountain, chip, the base of the neck, so," and he's like, yeah, that goes on. And then that's when we see Skyland Mountain and the guy looking for it, basically. He gets stopped by a guard, and he's like, "Oh, another one? Yeah, they're all going up there." He's like, "Oh, all right." So off he goes. And that's when we go to Cassandra, and she's doing like a pattern on the window with her fingerprints. And Scully enters and basically has questions. She tells Cassandra not to remove the chip that's in the base of her neck, and Cassandra's like, "As if I would." It's like,
I'm an apostle.
This is my apostle chip, biatch. Yeah. How are they going to find me if I remove my apostle chip? But so she clearly has a different take on what's been done to her. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So we go back to Skyland Mountain, and we once again see the burnt out remains of a bunch of people that have clearly banked on the wrong. So the guy rocks up, the one who was looking for him, and regrets it, basically. Faceless alien strikes again. Mulder and Scully arrive to loads of body bags. Scully wonders about aliens. Mulder says no. There's another explanation, which is it's weird. It's just weird. Yeah. It's like
Freaky Friday. It's
back up a minute. Scully, this is like Tempest, Fugit, and Max. You remember the remains of the plane and everything, and they rock up there. Mulder says aliens. Scully says no. It's like that, but it's just reversed.
It just seems wrong, doesn't it?
It does. It does seem off, doesn't it? It does seem off. But the Syndicate watches the news, and they send out someone, and I'm going to ask, do you recognise this guy?
Nope.
So they send out a hitman, and it's the same hitman who shot Cigarette Smoking Man at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
Nope. Nothing. Right, if you remember the opening two-parter Redux of this season, and the guy goes up to the top, and we think he's getting a line on Mulder. it took him ages to set up his gun, remember?
Yeah, he's there for like several days.
Yeah, it seems that way. Well, it's him. It's that same guy, same hitman.
Right.
I only bring it up because I respect the continuity.
Yeah.
I really, because they could have got anyone. They could have and when you have, because this is a returning character, right? He doesn't have dialogue, but he is a returning character. And I believe that you do have to pay more when you do that, when you bring someone back. So, they could have gone from any Vancouver actor, but they didn't. They went with this guy. I love the continuity. I appreciate that. I wish more shows would do that because, quite frankly, they don't. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Cassandra watches the news. She's very upset. Mulder and Scully enter. She knew these people, and it's not supposed to be happening like this. It's then that Jeffrey arrives, her son, gives them the look of, it's like, I told you not to come, and you've just basically so he tells them the victims, along with his mother, were part of a cult, a UFO cult. And it's Mulder who is like, we won't bother you again. And he goes off. And it's just, again, it's just this like, hashtag not my Mulder.
I love this. Like, I think this is a hilarious moment throughout the episode because he's constantly coming to Scully, who is enamored by this and wants to investigate more, and saying, tell Mulder to stop. Mulder is completely uninterested and very rarely has any dealings with the guy, and yet the guy's just like, I've told him I've told him not to come here, and Mulder's just like, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm unspicky Mulder now.
It's actually Scully who is to blame in this situation. Like, Spender's rocked up there and he's seen Mulder, and it's like an eye roll, like I knew it. I knew he'd get his grubby little hands on her. And it's like, no, he didn't. He's got no interest in her. It's Scully who's dragged his ass.
But he keeps saying to Scully, like I've said to stay away, like talking about Mulder, not realising, and Scully's just
So Krychek gives water to Dmitri or Borat. So that was actually the scene where he looks like he's showing care to Borat. Marita arrives. You know, the lady that you always know. Yeah. Some random blonde lady shows up, and the two of them,
she's from the UN.
The two of them start kissing. Which for fans of the show was something of a revelation, because it was like, oh no, what? They're in cahoots. And for people who have no clue who this woman is, it's like, oh, why's the UN lady in cahoots with Krychek? It's like, at this point, was she still just a UN lady to you, or did you recognise that? Oh no, this is the woman from previous episodes. It's Mulder's new snitch.
Do you know, I can't. No. Yeah, I've got it here. Krychek kisses the blonde lady.
Oh mate, just okay. Scully wakes up, sees the stars, feels cold. You can tell that this is just like we get that weird kind of noise going off where she's feeling it. She's feeling it. She's feeling cold. And Krychek finds the boy gone, and well-manicured man waits for him with a gun. And you're just like, oh, Krychek's in trouble now. Yeah, right.
It's a good moment.
It is a good moment. Yeah,
it's well directed and set up and pays off.
And it also puts Marita back into.
I thought the well manicured man had taken the boy.
Well, he has, but
I thought it was a blonde.
No, sorry, Marita has taken. Sorry, but like, I feel like she is. I feel like Well Manicured Man is there because Marita
Has to be.
Yeah, but Marita's taken the boy herself, and she's made a stop off so that Mulder can come, have a look, get whatever evidence he needs, and then it shows that she's she is still vying for Mulder.
See, I don't trust her. Like,
No,
I feel
well,
like she's
no, I don't.
playing
I
everybody.
Yeah, big time. So that's the thing. But what I mean is, it like the moment you see her kiss Krycek, you're like, oh no, she's not on Mulder's side. But then she double crosses Krycek, so you're like, oh, maybe she is on Mulder's side. So it is a thing where it's like, okay, they wanna have their cake and eat it, so to speak. They want to keep their dirty little secrets for now. Basically, we don't know whose side she's on. Is she for the syndicate? Is she for Mulder? Is she for the Russians? Or is she just out for herself? We don't know. So Mulder had 3 of the victims of the site x-rayed, and he finds implants in their necks. They were all apparently MUFON members, so the Mutual UFO Network members, if you remember those guys. The same. They also had been diagnosed with the same psychosis that Dwayne Barry had been diagnosed with. So it's like, oh, great. Led by the chips in their neck as part of a government conspiracy to make people believe it was a mass abduction. This is what Mulder believes. This is the explanation that he said to Scully was, this is the explanation he's got. So he thinks it's all government planned. The government put the chips there. It was all to make people believe in UFOs and alien abduction. And now that I guess they're done with their experiments, they're just going to dispose of them, get rid of the evidence, whatever, kill them all. But Scully says maybe he shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Cassandra. And that line, when she delivers it, it's like, what? And then you see Mulder's face as he's picking up the phone and he's like, right.
Yeah, but I think Scully delivers that line perfectly because she's like, she doesn't want to see it, but she feels like she kind of has to, and there's that kind of uncertainty of going like, oh, I'm not going to hear the end of this for saying this, but it's just like she encompasses so much into that like line reading. Yeah,
but it's a huge step for the character. If you think about character growth, look at where Scully was in the pilot. Now come to this episode. So Marita calls to tell Mulder that she has the boy, but is then out.
She's on the phone, and the boy comes up and seems to rip out an eyelash or something, or
he basically
something off.
It's like he pulls his eye under because if Krycek had sewn it shut, basically.
Yeah.
So if you look at what had happened, in the gulag he infected this kid with the black oil.
Mm-hmm.
Then did he actually use the vaccine on him? I don't know, but he sewed his eyes shut anyway. Mm-hmm. So he infected him with the black oil, then he sewed his eyes shut, presumably to stop the black oil from getting out. But the guy's literally just pulled it off. Out it pops. So he's got all this oil just like pouring out from his eye, and Marita kind of looks quite shocked by it all, as you would. Mulder turns around, sees that Scully has left. She gets a drink, looking rather shaken. She goes down the corridor and she gets like a drink of water from the water fountain. So she's all over the place at the minute. She's like, I don't know. So Mulder arrives at the payphone, but there's no Marita, just a oil slick kind of mark on the phone. And it's goodbye, Marita. Where have you gone?
Yeah.
I'm sure you will mourn the loss of that character because she made such a huge impact on you.
Definitely.
as a fan of the show.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's just there's a bit crap for the actress coming in for one episode and being killed off immediately. It's just
Mulder calls Cassandra looking for Scully, but Jeffrey answers instead, says his mum is gone, and then he's like, "Don't you get it? She's got nowhere to go." So, in other words, where the hell is she? And we cut from there to a bridge next to
a constellation.
Yes, yeah.
We see the constellation of the fingerprints.
Yeah, it's the same. The same fingerprint mark kind of thing. And the hitman, Cancer Man's killer.
Yep.
If you believe that for a moment, Cancer Man's killer is pushing Cassandra in a wheelchair and onto a bridge full of a load of these what are presumably MUFON peeps, people who have had
followers of the apostle.
Yeah, and who have chips in the necks and stuff.
Yeah.
And who is amongst them but Scully herself? She arrives, and it is then that she sees, not Mulder who sees, but Scully who sees a UFO. She sees an alien craft, or what looks like an alien craft at any rate, hovering above them, and then it all turns to crap. People... First of all, what's your thoughts when just tell me what you think about this whole season? Basically, people start going up in smoke. The faceless aliens have arrived, and
they're just burning people,
just burning people left, right, and centre. Yeah. So
there's like a bright light in the sky. I honestly don't know what's going on, but I know it's similar to a couple of other episodes. So you know that there's pretty much no survivors. Everyone's been burned. Although I would wager that Scully will survive. I won't tell you why I think that. I just do. But yeah, you're pretty sure everybody else is going to die. But again, I don't know why this is happening.
Right.
Is Cassandra right? Is there a race war going on? Is there various factions? Is it all government? Like, I'm kind of on the unsure side of it.
Like, to me, when I watch this, the questions that arise is... The main question that arises is, which side are these faceless aliens on? Because if they're destroying all these abductees, wiping them out, does that mean they're essentially trying to destroy all the testing, all the because all these people are test subjects basically.
Yeah,
and capital. They're basically going around destroying all the capital. So does that mean they're fighting against the syndicate and the Greys, or against the syndicate and the bounty hunters that don't have disfigured faces? Or so that's the real question for me, is which side are these guys on? Because they're killing people, but it could be to foil the syndicate's plans. Maybe that's the only way to do it. So, but yeah, and I'm not saying that as someone who knows what's coming. I'm saying that as they're the questions it raises as someone watching it for the first time. That's how I remember coming out of it.
It throws a lot of questions on as well, because budget Terminator, like, he's killing aliens and people who are trying to fit into the world. So is budget Terminator a good guy? Is he wiping out the people that are trying to infiltrate and assimilate?
It's so there we go.
The questions are good. Keeps you interested.
Yeah. Wrap up. Go.
I'd say I struggle sometimes with the mythology episodes because they seem to bring back all these characters that you forgot about. And like I'm like, they're all kind of small characters apart from the blonde lady, who apparently is a big character.
Yeah.
But I kind of lose track, and I feel like it's got these grandiose notions of what it wants to deliver, and I struggle with the two-parters as well, because I feel like it's one large story and you're judging part of it, and this part of it sets up a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of mystery. You get Krychek, you get the black oil, you get the vaccines, you get the idea of alien wars that are going on.
Mm.
And I'm interested in that. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't like the idea of Cassandra just as a character.
Okay.
There's something about her that I do not like. And I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. And the Freaky Friday of Mulder and Scully swapping roles, it's funny, but it feels so turned up, so up to 11 almost, where I wouldn't expect them to have that drastic a change, although it has been drip fed to us before. But it seems as if a switch has been flicked at the start of this episode, where they're just now fully like, this is where they are. I like it. It has some really nice touches to it, some really nice direction. I think I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5.
Okay. So as a fan of the mythology, and as a huge fan of the show, obviously, I always loved this one just because of that role reversal, and just because it feels like they are doing some pretty drastic stuff. Like with these mass killings, they're essentially wiping out a lot of what would be the previous. It just feels like whatever the syndicate has got going on is being destroyed here, and so to me, it's like, where are they going to go from here? That's it. It just always felt big to me.
Right.
Like quite grandiose. Like they're really moving pieces because they're changing direction maybe, and because at this point obviously they knew there was a film coming, and everything's like kind of steering towards that movie. So it is a hard one to grade. Based on my memory of the second one, which I've yet to rewatch, I would probably drop this down to a 4. But for the enjoyment I get out of it, and the just constant questions it raises, and the way it gets my brain going, I like, for me, like every single character that comes on is like, it's another big character. I'm fanboying out, I guess. So I do think in this regard, my fandom plays more of a part in my grading than usual, shall we say. So it is a 5 for me. Just on its own, if watching this I remember seeing it the first time and thinking, man, I cannot wait to see the next part of this. That was just balls to the wall, like everything's kicking off. So from that regard, it's a 5. But in context of the second part and how it all holds together as one whole story, I think I'm maybe dropping it down to a 4. So
okay. Well, tell me a little bit about episode 14, The Red and the Black.
I remember the first half of it being a really great continuation, but I remember the final 10 minutes maybe being a little bit disappointing in the sense that it all felt like it was leading to some answers. And then in typical X-Files fashion, I feel like we come out with more questions rather than answers. So I think I found that frustrating. But again, like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So
we shall see. Well, we would love to know your thoughts on this episode, and if you're going to be joining us for the next episode, so leave us a comment if you're on the YouTube channel. If you are on any of the podcast stations, a like and a review would do us the world of good, and we would really appreciate that. And as always, we will see you next episode when we're talking about The Red and the Black. Bye-bye.